well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host, once again, Dan Thornton. And I want to thank you all for joining us here today, Monday, Lions Talk Live. You know what? As you can probably tell from the thumbnail when you clicked on this thing for today, hey, we got Kurt Steele, the man, the myth, the legend, the infamous one, coming on later today. And you know what? That's going to be around 7:30 a.m. So hopefully you will be looking forward to that. Also, Lions been spending a lot of money. Dollar General Brad Holmes may be a thing of the past. We can all say what we want to say about the past with him. The fact that, hey, Holmes did not like to spend a lot of money out of the Detroit Lions money bags or coffers, if you will. But you know what? That wasn't the case so much this year. This offseason, he's been spending it religiously, left and right, re-signing, extending players, whatever you want to say. He's been spending the bag. He's been putting the money out there. And now the question arises, who could they re-sign next? Will they re-sign anybody else this offseason? Could they wait till next offseason? That, I guess, we're going to have to debate today to see what you guys have to say. Also, there have been a couple of NFL analysts, I guess you could say, that have been calling for the Detroit Lions to potentially go 15-2 to 17-0. I want to give credit's due. There were a couple people in the comments section yesterday that brought this to my attention. I did not know about it on my own. But multiple different commentators, I guess you could say, multiple different people in the chat pointed it out. And you know what? I want to thank them all for it. I did check it out, and they are correct. There were at least a couple people with Google stating that, in their opinion, the Detroit Lions could go 17-0. A couple of the other analysts there said 15-2. So I think we're all anticipating a pretty good year from the Detroit Lions. Could it really be undefeated? Could it really be, 15-2? My personal opinion, I'm sticking with a 12-win season. But, hey, been wrong before. We go undefeated. As long as we win the Super Bowl, I'm okay with it either way, shape, or form. All right, a couple things, as you guys all know. If you're new to the channel, let me walk you through it. We're looking to get to 6,700 subs, and I want to say we're roughly, 20, 25 away, something like that, right around there at least. Also, if you enjoy the content within the channel and today's video, please consider hitting the thumbs up button, the like button, the whatever you want to call it, the Mountain Dew's pretty cool button, because it helps the channel out a lot. If we get to 200 to 300 thumbs up every episode, helps push the content out to more and more new Lions fans that haven't yet discovered Lions Talk Live. Last but never least, it is a different environment in real estate than it has been in the last few years. If you're looking to buy or sell property, and try to save some money while doing so, I'll have somebody work on your behest. Give me a call, maybe shoot me a text. You see the number on the screen, 269-998-2384. Let me use over 30 years in the industry to your behest, and again, make the process easier for you. Can be anywhere in Michigan, can be the Detroit area, the Saginaw area, the Upper Peninsula, Detour, Michigan, Iron Mountain, Michigan, Painted Rocks, Michigan, St. Joe, Michigan, Niles, Michigan, Kalamazoo, Michigan. You get the idea. Anywhere in the state of Michigan. If you're outside of Michigan, you can still contact me, and I can walk you through some things. We just have to do some stuff a little differently. All right, now with all the jibber-jabber out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the show. Welcome to Lions Talk Live. Dude Crew, I want to hear what you guys have to say about the Lions. What do you guys think? Who should be potentially the next person re-signed? Should the Detroit Lions look to do this and be more assertive? Should they try to do this now, or should they do it later? My opinion, I guess it really comes down to one of two things. You could re-sign somebody now and then have the expectation they're going to have a great season coming up. Or, you could try to say, yeah, we're going to wait on that, try to keep as much of the money free that still remains on the salary cap and augment, say, some of Jared Goff's signing bonus to this season. The more you push here, obviously it helps reduce corresponding years exponentially. So I don't think there's really a wrong way to do it. If it was me, I probably would look to re-sign like James Houston now. Maybe a Lee McNeil too. Maybe Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, you can go through the ideas with everybody, because I do believe some of those guys just mentioned have the real strong opportunity to have an outstanding season. Just playing Scooby-Doo here, just trying to think if say James Houston comes out and has a 20-sack season or 15-sack season, his price tag next year is going to go skyrocketing up. If you sign him now, maybe you could save some money, but that's what I would do. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. And Duke Crew's going to get us kicked off with Bo. Bo, good Sunday morning, Duke Crew. Resigned and eligible, assembling for duty, Superdome or bust. Man, is it Sunday or is it Monday? I guess I don't know. Maybe I messed up here. It happens, man. But good morning to you all the same. All right, Robert. Dome or bust? Dome or bust? Sorry, man. I was going to say the Superdome or bust. Friend, just for you. And hopefully you guys do like those little graphics. Bo, okay, Monday morning. All the above, man. All the above. Moonscar. Good Monday morning, Duke Crew! Exclamation point. Starting lineup reporting for duty. 100%. We got the crew here. We're rolling. And hey, let's see who's else joining the show today. Moonscar. Go ahead, Bo. Twist my arm and extend the weekend. I'll second that. Yes, make it an extra day. I'd be okay with that as well. Bo, 0 do 30. There you go. You got to wake up sometimes. Got to wake up, get moving, get everything happening. You know, hey, get the morning rolling. Let's do something here real quick. There we go. We're moving the things back to the classic just so they pop out a little bit better for you guys. Easier to read, especially since I know a lot of people watch this on their cell phone, so that should make it a little easier. All right, Tim, LOL. Good morning, gentlemen. Exclamation point. Same to you. Ban and your Motley Dew crew. There you go. The Motley Dew crew. I like that, Tim. All right, Michael Green, salutations, Dew crew. Exclamation points. One pride. Back at you. All right, Tim, Dan, give me a do. There we go. Bad Dan. All right, fair enough. How about Bat Dan? There we go. Michael. Woo! There we go. Good morning, Michael. Let's see. Bo. What band and wham bam and thank you, Dan. All right, there we go. We're all right. We got the band thing going this morning. Detroit D. Greetings, salutations, everyone. Back at you, D. Hopefully having a great morning, my friend. All right, Tim. Anybody else notice how many so-called content makers have invaded Lions Nation to cash in on the clicks? I guess not. What's going on there, Tim? I'm not 100% sure what's going on. Lions Nation to cash in on the clicks? Yeah, I guess I don't know. Let me know what you're thinking. All right, Bo, anyone catch what the Clay guy said about Goff? Only 22nd NFL in the NFL. That I did not catch. I get Goff still has his detractors. I get people still, are a lot of people across the league. I shouldn't say a lot, but there are some across the league that still think Jared Goff is basically the narrative he was when he left the Los Angeles, the Rams. I would think most people have moved on past that. Now, I get there's still a large debate if he's a top 5 quarterback, in the top 10 quarterback, top 15 quarterback. To me, my opinion only, the difference between the number, say, 13 or 15 NFL quarterback on a normal basis and, say, number 8, 6, or 7 maybe, in that range, it's pretty minute details. There's usually not a huge range. You get the top 5, that's different. Usually the top 3, maybe the top 5, yeah, they're there for a reason. I mean, there's just something about them that is rare, special, just hard to mimic or replicate. When you get to, like I said, number 6 through 15, I think a lot of those guys are just interchangeable. They're dang good at something. There's certain aspects of the game they're really great at, and there's maybe a couple that they're not so great at. You get to the number 15 through 25, I don't think there's much of a difference between them either. Usually the bottom 5 guys, yeah, they're basically just holding clipboards, getting out there for whatever reason. The normal quarterbacks are hurt. The team couldn't re-sign anybody. The team wants to rebuild, whatever. There's strong evidence, I guess you could say, why they're one of the bottom 5 quarterbacks. All right, Tim, LOL, there you go, Bo. Nice save, 100%. Moonscar, at Tim. Does seem like more videos to choose from. I just hate when they use a robot voice dub over. I guess I haven't noticed that either, but unfortunately, I used to watch, like before I started the channel, I used to watch a lot of other content creators, like Dosa Dion was one that jumped out at me. Kurt G, G, gosh, I forget his name. I always try to get him on the show, but I thought he did a good job of breaking down and analyzing things. There's another guy, he's not a Lions fan, and, he was highly analytic. Boy, I'm trying to remember his name now. But anyways, I thought he did a good job of breaking down the X's and O's when he would put it up on the screen. But he did it for all teams, not just the Detroit Lions. But with the resurgence of the Detroit Lions, I do believe there's probably a lot more content creators than there ever has been before. So, I mean, hey, fans being fans. I guess what I would say is the big win for everybody watching is if you find something that you really resonate with. There might be a content creator that's great for you, somebody else might not like, but I always say this: go with what works best for you. I know what I do doesn't work for everybody, and that's okay. You got to find what you like. No different than when you used to buy the newspapers. There were some people that buy the Detroit News over the Detroit Free Press just because they simply liked the way, reporter A wrote stories versus reporter B. And there are some differences in how, say, like the Battle Creek Inquirer handles news stories versus the Kalamazoo Gazette, or back in the day, I guess, the Herald Palladium down in like St. Joe area and stuff. But you guys get it. Most newspapers report stuff the same. It's just the writers interpret it and word things differently, and that can be more attractive to some than others. All right, Mike the Marine, howdy, Dan, Lions faithful, do or die season, 100%. And woo! Good morning, Gunny. Bo, we all have our moments, Tim. Yes, we do. Tim, I'm on board with you, Moonscar. There you go. William, Aleem, can't let him go. No, I think you're right, William. I think he's going to have a outstanding season. And a lot of that, I think, is because he's going to be allowed to have more one-on-one opportunities. I do believe that DJ Reader, 50, maybe 60% of the time, he's going to get double team blocks. Also means then that Aiden Hutchinson, who would get double teamed, I'd say about 55% of the time, maybe 65% in certain stretches by other teams. You can't double team everybody. If those two guys are commanding most of the double teams, then my anticipation is Marcus Davenport / James Houston on the opposite side are going to get single blocks, and so is Aleem McNeil. So Aleem might end up having a monster season. I mean, this defensive line might be pretty dang good, especially if we're as Blitzburgy as I think it's going to be this year. All right, let's see, Moonscar. Next few players to consider re-signing. 1, Aleem. Then all depends on production. Barnes, Melifanu, Houston. Yeah, I 100% agree that basically the first draft class for the Detroit Lions under the new regime, they're all up, for re-signing. Then the second draft class, same. Some of those guys are hitting. Houston, you guys all know my thoughts. I'm kind of a homer on him. I think he's going to have just an awesome season. I think he's going to break out. If he Melifano, I think that's going to be one to really watch. As much as I anticipate we're going to go Blitzburg, as much as I think we're going to get zero coverage across the board, no safety helping out in zone coverage over the top, that Iffy and his ability to cover could really break out. Again, you get some quarterbacks that throw just a half second late, a little bit high, a little bit low, to where now they become passes that could be broken on by defensive backs. If he could have a real good season for us. Barnes, he's one of the ones I worry about. And it's no disrespect to Derek Barnes. I just wonder if we are going so Blitzburgy, will we have 3 linebackers on the field that often? I'm thinking not, especially with this secondary. As deep as we are and as athletic as we are, I think there's some real strong potential that will play mostly 1 or 2 linebacker sets. My guess is Campbell and Anzalone are on the field in those situations more often than not, and maybe not. Maybe Anzalone comes off the field or Campbell comes off the field and Barnes is on the field. That we'll have to wait and see. Let the coaches figure that part out. But I think everybody you just listed has an opportunity to have an outstanding season. All right, Stephanie, what do you got? Good morning, boys! Exclamation point. I would think McNeil and Hutch would be the next to extend. Maybe Iffy with another good season. It is possible. It is possible. I hope all the players do well. It's my anticipation that if we do play so much, man across the board, no help over the top, that probably Kirby Joseph in those scenarios is coming off the field. If we're going to play man with a single high safety over the top, taking away the center field responsibilities, then I think Kirby Joseph is on the field. So there's going to be a lot of nuances that will factor into who's going to be on there getting more reps than others. And you know what? That's going to force competition. The more competition you have, typically the better everybody plays. All right, Tim, I live about 25 miles north of Ford Field. Maybe a bunch of us should get together and scout out some watch party locations. There you go. I know we've talked about having a Dew Crew tailgate. So if we're going to do it, I'm trying to throw out there a date already for everybody to consider. and that would be for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. I want to say that's September 15th, but don't hold me to that offhand. But for the Bucs game, let me know what you guys all think. Susan, what do you got? Greetings, salutations, Duke Crew, back at you. Hopefully you're having a good morning. Tim, back at you. Susan, all right? All right, Bo, we'll see what's up. Doe, Kurt, and Coach have to say. Aleem and Houston are my picks. Yeah, I think both men are set up to have real good seasons. And I get Houston's got his downsides. I just think, man, from me being a coach and just thinking how schematically to offset those weaknesses while playing to his strengths, yeah, I'd be doing some stuff to get Houston out there a lot. But that also means I don't probably have enough real good feel for Marcus Davenport. Davenport is a player. His big problem, as we all know, is he just can't stay healthy. But that's also an issue because your best attribute is availability. And if you're never available, you can't. I mean, it doesn't really matter what skill sets you have. All right, Hooky Duke, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew! Exclamation point. Woo! Back at you, Hooky. All right, Bo, tailgate. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Tampa Bay game, just because that is a 1 o'clock game. It's early in the year. Weather should be, it should be good. So, yeah, maybe we can get the Duke Crew band out there playing too for everybody. All right, Moonscar, with Hutch, we will have to pick up the 5th-year option and extend him prior to the 26th league year. Yeah, and I'm guessing they are going to pick up that 5th-year option on Aiden Hutchinson. I just don't see any world out there where that's not going to happen. So we'll see. How much time left on Iffy's contract? I think this is the last year of it, if I'm not mistaken, because he was a part of the first draft class. So I'm pretty sure this is the last year. But somebody can let me know in the comment section if I'm a little off on that. Jesse, good morning, everyone. It does feel like whoever we re-up next more than likely will be on the defensive side of the ball. A lot of those guys are coming up. Yeah, that is true. That basically just how things kind of worked out with the different draft classes. That we've got a bunch of defensive guys coming up. All right, let's see. JDC, good morning, all. Good morning, JDC. Hopefully having a great one. Hookadoo, can't believe I missed the live show yesterday. Brad, if you're listening to Lions Talk Live again, number 1 is your theme song, REO Speedwagon, roll with the changes. Number 2, will you adopt me and the Duke Crew and Coach? Woo! We'll see if he responds, man. We'll see if he responds. All right, Bo. Worried was I, JDC. You're late. Yeah, it happens, man. JDC overslept, yeah, especially on the weekend, man. Sometimes that happens. Jen, I get up early, and Jen normally gets up about 10, 15 minutes before me. She I shouldn't say overslept, but she slept in a little bit this weekend. All right, friends, good evening all. Anyone else read one analyst on Google say he thought the Lions could go undefeated? I did see that. And again, give credit where credit's due. Giving it to the Duke Crew because yesterday's video, I'm trying to remember which one it was. Maybe it was the morning show one or whatever, but there were about 3 or 4 different people that left comments on the once the show was done, but they left comments in the comment section once the show posted about that very topic. So I went and checked it out. Yeah, there are, I would say not a ton, but there is a better than I would have anticipated. Majority of NFL analysts that are out there calling for the Lions. They have a 15-2 season, an undefeated season. I'm not going to go so far to say we're going to have an undefeated season, but I do think, like I said, I'm forecasting a 12-win season. But if you look at the schedule, this is not like the 2018 Lions or 2003 Lions or something where you're like, man, I think we can beat these guys. I don't think there's a team on our schedule where us as Lions fans should be like, man, I just don't know about that team. I think we match up with just about anybody in the league. I can't really think of anyone who's a bad matchup for us, not at this point. And maybe, to be fair, maybe I need to take a deep breath. Maybe we all do and just say we think that secondary is going to be exponentially better than last year, but we don't know it yet. So that would be maybe the one caution point I would have. I would also say, I believe that the loss of Josh Reynolds is going to be somewhat augmented by the pickup of I guess you could say the better play out of Donovan Peoples-Jones. Last year, I get it. He came in kind of late in the year with the trade deadline, had to pick up all the different routes and everything. log jam of receivers in front of him. So it just wasn't a great scenario. But now he's got an off season to really kind of get in, and Josh Reynolds isn't there. I think he's going to probably end up stepping up quite a bit. I also think Jameson Williams is going to break out even more than he did towards the end of last year. And I think Antoine Green's going to step in too. But I also don't know that. So wait and see what shakes. All right, just say Kane Moonscar Blade Holmes himself was on the show for a few minutes. He did make I guess you could say, a guest appearance for, I don't know, about 5-10 minutes, something like that yesterday. So thank you, Brad Holmes, for stopping on by and enjoying the Dew Crew. All right, Hatman, good morning. Good Monday morning, Dan and Dew family. Let's get this party started. Oh, yeah. Woo, baby. There we go. Good morning to you, Hatman. Bo, what is it really? What was it really him? Question mark. I hope so. Who really knows, Bo? I have no idea. It is quite possible that we've had him stop by. Gosh, who else? I want to say, CJ Gardner-Johnson stopped by for that one episode last year. I don't know. It feels like there's been a couple other people that have stopped in. So is it really them? I don't know. But, hey, their name said so you have to assume maybe it was. All right, Tim, I don't think that is so far-fetched. France, injuries are my only true concern. Yeah, about going undefeated. I don't think it's incredibly far-fetched, but it's just hard to do in any sport, any league, any level, unless you're just vastly superior than everybody you're facing. Going undefeated, I think, is a challenge. But I do think we have the depth to sustain a lot of injuries. Hopefully they don't happen, and potentially push for an undefeated season. All right, Moonscar, Bo Iffy is unrestricted free agent next year. Correct. All right, Damian, what do you got? Greetings and salutations, everyone. Less than 2 months until training camp. Tick-tock. Correct. Yes, we got OTA starting up. I think some teams have OTA starting up today across the NFL. I couldn't give you a list of who it is, but I do believe there are some that are starting theirs today. Bo, 14-3. I'll go with that. I will accept that. That would be an outstanding year. Hatman, good morning, JDC. I overslept half the shows last week. Hey, man, maybe you just need to do rest and catch on up, man. All right, Tim, which three, Bo? There you go. JDC, laughing out loud. Big Eddie, what do you got? Eddie, good morning, Coach, and to the Dew Crew. Back at you, Eddie. Bo, so far it looks like next year for Iffy and then most others. Thanks, Moonscar. Yeah, you've got quite a bit, especially, again, on the defensive side of the ball, whose contracts will be coming up. Hey, you play well, you're going to get paid, whether it's by this franchise or another franchise. That's unavoidable, and I think we all get it. I would say the Lions are going to be in a spot where we do potentially have quite a few defensive players coming up next year. And I could be way wrong, but I don't think you're going to be able to resign them all. You think about the ones we've predominantly listed. Iffy, Houston, Barnes, Ali McNeil. That's just next year. Can you re-sign them all if they have breakout years? I think that's going to be a tough one. If it was me, my priority would be McNeil, Iffy, Houston, and then Barnes. And in Houston, who knows, man? Like you guys all know, I'm a slappy for him. If he really goes out and has something stupid like 18 sacks or something like that, then he's probably number one on that list, just because that's hard to replicate. But if he's number 1A in the situation where he has like 10,000 sacks, then I would say McNeil is 1B. All right, Jerome, good morning, Coach. I never played organized football before, but an offense, you have a left tackle and right tackle. Is a player taught to play either side? What's the difference? Basically, the biggest difference, I guess, is just the training you put into your body. I know when Panay came in, he did mention as a rookie that he had to go through some struggles because you're used to jumping back with your left foot on the left side and what to do with your right and left hand. Well, now everything's mirror imaging on the other side, and that does take some time to adjust. I would say the other aspect is typically the left tackle is going to face, more often than not, the best pass rusher from the other team the vast majority of the time. The right side, you're probably a little bit more run blocking concerned or worried. And it may not be a huge difference, but there's probably about a 5 or 10% difference as far as how often you're going to pass block versus run block and have to excel at it. The minute changes, but that's probably it in a nutshell. All right, Moonscar, foot stance and push off are number one difference. Yeah, especially when you have to use your leverage a little bit differently and such. And if you're right-handed, left-handed, those come into play. The size of the athlete you're blocking is typically different, although not always, because the Lions do put Aiden Hutchinson more often than not against the other team's right tackle. So just so you know. All right, Lions fan number one, morning gang, tired today. Okay, tired today. Need to wake up. Well, go ahead and wake up and join the crew, man. Go get yourself a delicious Mountain Dew. All right, Bo, regular season losses will be unexpected. I'm not going to call them, but the wins for sure on the revenge games. I'll go with that. Who doesn't like the revenge show? All right, Frank, Frank the one. Woo! There you go, Frankie. Wait, just for you, Frankie. All right, hold on. Let me go. I got to do this stuff again. I really need to find a faster way to do this stuff, but hey. Just have a little fun. All right, we told you that the hitman himself, Kurt Steele, is going to be joining the show. So here he is, the man, the myth, the eternal legend. How you doing today?
What up, dude? What's going on, family? Hey, I'm doing great, man. But good to be on with the Dew crew this morning.
Well, I'm glad you're here, man. Always a pleasure to have you take time out of it. All right, so here we go. We've had Brad Holmes go from Dollar General Brad Holmes to Moneybags McGee, whatever you want to say, Scrooge McDuck. I mean, he's got the money. He's throwing it around. What do you think is going to happen from here? Do you think they're going to re-sign any more players from next year's class?
I think this year, the signing of our players, is done. I saw a rumor on Facebook, and I'm like, this doesn't sound right. And it was just talking about Lee McNeil. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve a contract extension. I don't think that he's earned a lucrative one just yet. He's had some injuries. He hasn't played up to he's played above expectations, but not up to his potential, if you can get what I'm saying.
Yep.
Like when we drafted him, you got to think about it. We took Levi before we took Aleem McNeil. So you look at him and his production in college. Yes, we thought he was going to be a good player in Detroit. And he showed flashes, but I don't think has had enough, we call that constant numbers where we can say, hey, he's earned a lucrative extension in Detroit just yet. I think this may be the year he earns it, especially playing next to DJ Reader and playing with him and some of the other guys on the defensive line. I think this is the year that he gets that big contract next offseason.
All right, let's Scooby do this if you would. So we all get that the Lions wanted to improve their defense into this offseason. What do you think are the number one areas that you're anticipating will jump out and produce higher this upcoming year versus last year or last year?
It's got to be the cornerback position, man. It's got to be that secondary. It has to be that, because if you look at last season, our front seven played well. Linebackers, defensive line. Now, I won't say they played great, but we were top 5 in run defense. Basically, the number one run defense in the league last year for a lot of the time of the season. But the problem was once you got in that pass, we had those injuries, and then we had guys just not play up to their potential and not in the system, where you had the guys that weren't playing in AG's system well. Like if you look at Cam Sutton, I know he's not on the team, but he's more of a zone guy. He's not a man guy. He has versatility to play in different positions, but him playing one-on-one is not great. And then Jerry Jacobs was just too small. I love Jerry Jacobs, love his effort, but he was just, after a while, he just became too small, and just teams took advantage of that. Vildor played good, so he was spotty, but played good sometimes. He's a journeyman. I don't think he's built for a long-term sustainable answer on the outside corner. What's up, David, man? That's my man, Rant Crew. That's my guy right there. Big Q over there. But it has to be the secondary. You look at the guys they brought in. they revamped the whole secondary room with as as far as the cornerback position goes. You brought in Carlton Davis. You brought in Amik Robinson. Then you drafted Terry Arnold and Enos Rickshaw. I mean, it's there in the writing. That is the place that has to be better. And you have better talent back there. So it has to be the cornerback position. It has to be that secondary, particularly the cornerback position. Because I think by the end of the year, Iffy and Kirby Joseph developed the chemistry, and they were playing a lot better with saying off of each other. And I think bringing C.J. Gardner back into the fray, I think that kind of messed up their chemistry back there. So, but the cornerback position has to be the position that has to have a big upgrade as far as play on the field this season.
If you now, since we're talking about the cornerback spot and the massive change that we've gone through, if you had to guess right now, this say the starting three cornerbacks, the number 1, 2, and 3, who do you think they're fitting into each one of those spots come opening day?
I will have to say, if right now,
right,
it has to be Carlton Davis is CB1, Terry Arnold is CB2, and the nickel is Brian Branch. He was He was one of the most disruptive players at the nickelback position in the league last year. I like Amik Robinson because he can play inside and outside. But right now, how do you move Brian Branch off of that nickel position when he was one of the best in the league last year?
Here's a question. Say one of the other guys really jumps up, and that forces the Lions to move Brian Branch out of the nickel to one of the safety spots. You got 3 people that seem like they're pretty good options back there. Who are your 2 starting safeties?
Ooh, that's a hard one. That's a really hard one. I would say Kirby and Branch.
Okay, Kirby and Branch it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk about the front 4. Let's go front 7. So. Okay. I'm anticipating you've heard me talk about it or whatever, and I think we've all talked about it. It seems like Aaron Glenn's most comfortable when he is dialing up different blitzes, whether it's cornerback blitz, delayed blitz, whatever it may be, and trying to put a lot of pressure on the opposing offense. He wants to play man-to-man across the board and force quarterbacks to throw on the run or scrambling and get rid of the ball quickly. If that comes to fruition, who do you think are going to be the most beneficiary players in the front 7 for that?
Wow, that's a good one because you have to look at the versatile. I'm going to say you're going to have Aiden Hutchinson definitely up there. You're going to have Aleem McNeil with DJ Reader. DJ Reader's a good. He's a slick pass rusher. People just think about him stuffing a run. But he has a good pass rush as well. He's going to eat up some blocks for Aleem McNeil in the pass game. And I'm going to go with that tweener guy, Josh Pascal. Between him rotating in and out when that third down with James Houston, those guys kind of fit that area. If it's not Reader in there, I would say it's going to be Josh Pascal or it's going to be Kaminsky. You're going to have a guy, guys, you can throw at, in those pass rush scenarios. And then you look at the linebacker position. I still think we're going Barnes and we're going Alex Anzalone just because of the coverage options for both of those guys. They're better in coverage. I mean, you look at the way the season ended for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the last game in Ford Field last season as far as the playoffs. Derek Barnes, man, he's really stepped up his coverage skills, made that interception. And then you look at, we're going to play a lot of nickel. So it's either going to be, to me, it's got to be Brian Branch is going to be in there. You look at him. And I think with the blitz packages, you're going to rotate between, like last year, you're going to, in between him and Iffy on that, coming off the edge. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of guys that can play versatile off the edge. You can even mix if you slide Kirby back into, if you slide Brian Branch back into coverage, you can slide Kirby Joseph up and you can rush him as a blitzer. So a lot of different options in the pass rush game. That front seven, though, I think it's going to be the same kind of that 4-2, uh, like it was last year, 4-2-5. Where you play me a 4-2. Excuse me, four down linemen. You're gonna
Right.
have the and you're gonna have the three, and then you're gonna have more defensive backs. So the linebackers are going to be, uh, I believe, Derek Barnes and Alexander Loney.
I was recently rewatching, I guess, the highlights of some of our playoff games that included the NFC title game against the
Mm-hmm.
49ers. I'd forgotten really how much of an impact Pascal had on those games, especially the game against the 49ers. Is he kind of the forgotten guy in the mix with things? Because it sounds like, I mean, I get you just mentioned him a little bit, but when we
Mm-hmm.
talk about starting this, starting that, hey, he's set up for a big season, whatever, you don't typically hear from a lot of the fan base or the podcasters or whatever his name come up a ton. Do you think this could be an opportunity for him to have a breakout year?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's coming into camp healthy. He's played the most snaps he played last season, and he's going to be healthier coming into this season. I think this is one of those years where he had definitely steps up and has a really good season. Breakout is subjective, but I think he's going to be one of those individuals that can have a really big season for the Lions in a defense, and with the and I've said this before. The biggest upgrade for our pass rush isn't a player; it's a coach. The defensive line. Terry Williams is going to be a big, big addition in that coaching staff.
So let's also talk about the linebackers. I know you brought up Barnes, and man, he really did a good job of undercutting that throw by Mayfield to pick off and seal the victory for the Lions. What do you think about Jack Campbell? I mean, last year, out of the core four whatever picks to start the draft, he's kind of the one that was, the redheaded stepchild, I guess you'd say. The three others around him all played phenomenal, all pro type seasons. Campbell, while he showed growth throughout the season, was clearly not quite at the same level as Laporta or some of the other picks like Gibbs or whatever. Where do you anticipate his sophomore season going?
I think all roads are leading him ascending. If you look at it, he played a lot of versatile roles last year where he played in the middle. Then he played some on the edge. And I like that, what I'm saying, where he can pass rush. He has the size. He's a disciplined player. If you put him on an assignment, he's going to pretty much stick to that. I like the fact that they didn't put him back in coverage like, he played in college because he played more zone, and the Detroit Lions in that scheme where our linebackers play more man than they do zone. So I like the fact that they didn't try to use him like that, and they use him more, go get the ball, Jack. And, and Captain Jack had a good season. Like I said, it wasn't all pro like the other guys, but I don't think that they expected that from him because he wasn't that high on the depth chart. What I'm saying? He had to sit behind Alexander Loney and Derek Barnes because Barnes was like, you're not going to taking my spot. So, right. But he did have significant snaps. So, and I think he's going to push Derek Barnes more this year than he did last year.
We've talked about how much the Lions like to play man-to-man coverage. 70% of the league, for the most part, relies on zone coverage. And at the start of last year, I think the Lions did too, until about the Denver game, and AJ just said, "The heck with it, we're going after people." How much of an advantage do you think that is for the Detroit Lions playing a type of defense that most quarterbacks do not face that often?
I think it's an advantage if you can actually have guys that can contribute, and it's going to be something where it has to be complementary to our defensive line. So if our defensive line can get pressure on quarterbacks and our guys can cover, it's going to cause a mess in that offensive backfield. We can get more sacks this year. And I just think that there's going to be a concerted effort by the defensive backs and the defensive line to make sure that we can keep those plays off schedule and, and become a better pass defense because of our pass rush.
So Let's real quick talk about this team because it is still, by NFL standards, an incredibly young team. We might not be as young as, say, the Green Bay Packers, but overall, the vast majority of the talent on this team is probably really only has, I don't know, 3 years on average or something like that, maybe 2.5 years of experience in the NFL. If you had to anticipate, say, 2, 3, maybe 4 players that really will make another jump forward this upcoming season, who do you think those players would be? They could be offense, defense, or whatever.
Okay, first off, Jameson Williams, got to be JMO. That's my guy. He was flashing at the end of last year. If you look at the NFC Championship game, you look at how he played. Man, he made some big plays. He made some big catches. It wasn't just the end around. He made some big catches. So that touchdown was great there at the when we were trying to mount that comeback in the fourth quarter. So Jameson Williams is number one. Got to be Aleem McNeil number two. He's got DJ Reader to eat up a lot of space, so I expect him to have a big jump this year as well. On another guy on the defensive side of the ball that I think we just talked about him, Josh Pascal. He's going to have some time to actually hone his pass rush inside, outside. He's got the talent to do so, and he's going to have a healthier season this year. And believe it or not, you think that he can't get better than what he had last year, because I have to save him for last. Right. Man, it's got to be the running back, man. That young fella last year, Gibbs, had a great season. And think about it. He didn't come on till late in the season last year, where he was like, it was a little about halfway through the season where he really started to get more touches and become a better back. So Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a great year too.
So let's talk about Gibbs and the running backs, Gibbs and Montgomery. Last year, they basically split the carries. Do you see that potentially changing at all this year, where maybe one of them gets a little bit more than the other?
No, actually, I don't.
Okay.
I just think the production is going to be more from Gibbs, because you got to look at it. They kind of held him out. Remember, he had injuries at the beginning of the year. So it's gonna be 2,000 yard rushers in Detroit. We had 1,000 yard, and look how close he was last year. We're gonna have 2,000 yard rushers this year in Detroit with Gibbs and Montgomery.
What did Gibbs miss him by? Is just like 30 yards or something like that?
I think it was like maybe 40 to 50 something. It was close. It was close. It was really close. But you look at that young fella, man, and I was the one guy, and other guys that, especially on back on Detroit on the Lions on the Prowl, we talked about when they traded up to get that kid, and I was like, yeah, that's the guy. He had 945 rushing yards last season with 10 touchdowns. That's crazy. He averaged 5 yards a carry. That's ridiculous.
Barry Sanders-esque, man.
Man, and one of my favorite pictures, I have it on my phone, is the run in the playoff game where he just tossed Antoine Winfield Jr. He slowed down just to really stiff arm him, because he could have just ran past him into the end zone. He actually slowed down to actually stiff arm him and just kind of toss him into the end zone. So that just shows you. I mean, people just think he's a speed guy. No, he's a physical runner at the point of attack. You know what I'm saying? He lowers his shoulders. So I like Jahmyr Gibbs to have a really big sophomore year, running and catching the ball.
Who's the biggest threat to the Lions, Green Bay or Chicago?
Green Bay.
Do you think Jordan Love maintains what he did last year, jumps forward, or do you think potentially teams force him to step back a little bit this upcoming season?
I think he's about the same as last year until I can see where because he's I won't say he's a good quarterback, because he's a good quarterback, but there's some flaws in his game. He can be kind of reckless in some of his pass attempts, and he relies too heavily on his ability sometimes. So like the interception he threw at the end of the Dallas game last year in the playoffs, it was like, come on, man. I'm not against Dallas. I'm sorry that they won that game.
49ers.
Against the 49ers. I'm like, dude, you had the guy open. You just kind of slung it down there. I'm like, you got to be better than that. But he's shown, flashes, but he has that. I think he's more Brett Favre than he is Aaron Rodgers.
I'd go with that. Yeah, I'd say that's a good comparison at this point. But man, they just seem to keep churning out quarterback after quarterback. It's disgusting, man, how good they are at developing these dudes. With that being said, let's segue from the Green Bay Packers quarterback position to, yes, Jared Goff has got his new contract and everything. So that brings up the curious case of Hendon Hooker. What do you think, long-term prognosis? Is this guy just here to be a backup trade bait? Or is there potentially some sort of scenario where he's like Jordan Love, going to supplant Aaron Rodgers at some point? Does Hooker supplant Goff, 4 years down the road?
To me right now, he's Aflac. He's progressive. He's he's Allstate. He's USAA. He's insurance. He's insurance right now. But the only thing is that Jared Goff doesn't miss very many games.
No, he does not.
He does not miss very many games. Even out in LA when he had the fractured thumb, he missed the game and came back and played in the playoffs. So yeah. He just doesn't miss. But right now, I just think that he's insurance right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's, you can put that apron on him like Flo, and he's progressive. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna sit back there and we're gonna be but to be honest with you, you're not gonna know what you get from him until you actually see him play.
Right.
Some NFL snaps. So yeah.
So Lions for a long time. I know in the time I've covered the Lions, whether on this channel or whatever, it seems like there have been almost no regimes prior to this one that have done a great job of developing players on a consistent basis. But yesterday you get some of the pictures of how much Broderick Martin's really slimmed down and beefed up as far as muscles. And you see other rookies players that have come in like Iffy or Derek Barnes and grown, matured into big roles. What is it about this regime that this seems to be the case where for 30, 40, 60 some years it hadn't been the case?
I believe that it's some of it's got to be the Campbell effect and his staff, because you have this is the first time that the Lions staff has had so many former players on it, and they preach. And Dan Campbell always preaches, hey, when you come back to camp, when you come back in the building, you need to be in shape. You need to, take care of your body. And you were saying that. You look at how Lee McNeil slimmed down last year. Maybe it was Broderick Martin taking some of those keys from him, and, he's telling guys, don't disrespect the game. Don't disrespect your teammates. And they're taking that to heart. They've bought in. So they're working hard. I mean, you look at the offseason workout, the guys you don't see are most of the guys that are hurt right now. So they really can't be out there, but you got guys out there participating in the offseason workout plan. OTAs start today. So it's going to be great to see, what's going to happen. And then you got the mandatory minimum cap coming up here in a couple of weeks. So I like the fact that, the guys are there working out, and the guys that aren't there are in the building, probably rehabbing and doing things like that.
All right, last question I got for you there, Kurt. The Lions seem to be deep across the board. If you're the opposing, team trying to win the North or just the NFC, and you look at the Detroit Lions, you're trying to think of weaknesses. What's the biggest weakness, in your opinion, the Detroit Lions have going into this season?
Ooh.
I don't have dramatic music to play, otherwise I would drop it right now.
You know what though? And it's, to me, I don't think it's what the other team can do to the Lions is what the Lions can do to themselves.
Right. Being
complacent, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's going to be the big thing, thinking that you got to the NFC Championship game and that's going to be enough, or you've arrived all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? And now you're just you don't have to have the same effort out there on the field. And because the Lions, I'll be honest with you, I mean, they were a couple of plays away from and I think they would have given the Chiefs a run in the Super Bowl. The offense is pretty much still the same. I mean, you look at it. The only person you're missing is Josh Reynolds, and and I like Josh Reynolds, and I wish him all the best of luck out there in Denver. I think that was his last big contract he's going to get in the league, because you look at age, he's getting to be a 30-year-old wide receiver. He's not going to get another. He wasn't going to get that money um, from the Lions,
Right.
and I think it was for the development of Jameson Williams that he needed to be going, because if you look at a lot of those plays that he made in the NFC Championship game and in the playoffs, some of those routes were the same routes that Josh Reynolds would normally run. And look at that back of the end zone catch. That's normally, who do we see catching that touchdown? Josh
Right.
Reynolds. You know what I'm saying? So you look at that. I just think that it's time for Jameson Williams to get his due. We drafted him at number 12 for a reason. So we traded up for him. Let's go ahead and get him out there and do his thing. But as far as our young players, man, we got some guys that can definitely on the offensive side of the ball is going to step up. So this what's going on, Hat Man? What up, though? That's how that's how us old people spell it. WHATDOE. I mean UPDOE. I know everybody can. What up, though? With the two D's and all the other stuff. And yeah, no, us old heads say what up, though, like that. What's for dessert, man? I'm talking with my guys. We're gonna get another show started here soon. So I'm talking to LL. I'm talking to Coach Mike. So we just gotta rock up some logistics and make sure that we bring you a top-notch product. But getting back to the question, man, like, we're not being complacent is going to be the biggest roadblock for the Lions. And it was even the same thing they said last year. So yeah, it's going to be one of those things where we have to, and I don't think this coaching staff is going to let these guys be complacent.
Okay. Kurt, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and go ahead and give yourself a shout out.
Yeah. Well, y'all know who I am, man. I'm Kurt Steele. I'm the former host of Detroit Lions and the Proud. You can catch me. I do some freelance work over at Sideline Report. You can catch a different voice over there every now and then. And then I have my own website, kurtsteele.com. And like I said, we will be relaunching a show here shortly. And look, talking to my guys, LL Cool Torrance and my man, Coach Mike, man, we're going to get something going for you guys real soon. So, but go over to kurtsteele.com. That's where you can find most of my content. And if you need some freelance PR work, man, I do that too. Like my man Dan does the stuff for his real estate. I do public relations work as well, including social media. If you guys have something, business you need to promote, commercials, anything like that, advertising, I help do that stuff too. So got my master's in public relations here earlier this year, but I've been doing that quite a while. Thanks.
All right, he is Kurt Steele. He joined the podcast. Let me know when they get your show up and going again. So I'll jump on and return the favor, and I'll always look forward to having you on the next Lions Talk Live, man.
Will do. Thank you. All
right, guys. Duke Crew, let's get back to you guys real quick here. You can read off a few more and see what everybody has to say. Jason Campbell is due for a breakout. I'll go with that. JDC, I did see your guys' comments too about the audio, so sorry if there's any kind of like echoing or whatever. I'll check out the settings once I'm off air. Also, Shake and Bake, I want to say thank you for the donation to the chat. I appreciate that. I got to it obviously while Steele was talking, so I didn't want to interrupt him, but I do want to give you a shout out and say thank you for that, my friend. JDC, Buddy Love and the Cheddars, there you go. Dale, my guy Kurt, yes, he is a great one. He does a great job as always and has for a long time. All right, Key, the Packers, for them, I wouldn't be surprised if they had to step back of some sort and really sort of like what happened in to the Jaguars. Yeah, it could be that they pulled back a little bit. Maybe Jordan Love, some of his game gets exposed a little bit. I'm anticipating they're going to be in a neck-and-neck situation with the Detroit Lions as far as the NFC North standings. But doesn't mean that I could be wrong and they do pull back. Who knows? Maybe Chicago steps up. Broski will be happy with that. What's sort of happened with the Jaguars? You see how everybody expected them to take the next step. Yeah, and Trevor Lawrence, man, he's going to need a bit of a bounce back year. Key, what happened to them? Or what did happen to them? Here's Johnny Hooker and Benjamin Button. Yes, the curious case. All right, Jason, Hendon Hooker's throw 5 touchdowns in his first preseason game. It could be in the first drive that he throws that, Jason. So, yeah, look out for that to happen. All right, Mike the Marine, Jordan Love throws a lot off his backfield, and slings it. He does, and that's really, I think, Gunny, you're spot on, probably what hurt him ultimately against the 49ers. They were forcing him, in my opinion, him one side of the field or the other to eliminate and try to get him to throw across field, and ultimately he did, and he doesn't quite have that arm to pull that off. Key, I think it would be closer for the second place spot between the Packers and the Bears than what most would think. I think the Packers finished 9-8, Bears 8-9 or 9-8. Ooh, that would be pretty close. All right, Moonscar, Amy at Amy Spry, what do you got? No team has gone 17-0 in the regular season. This is the fourth year of 17. 1972 Dolphins went 14-0, then 3 more playoff wins to win the Super Bowl. Patriots went 16-0 in the regular season and lost that year in the Super Bowl. They did, and I remember a bit of an upset, but hey, say what you want for Eli Manning. He's the only person on planet Earth that can say they won 2 Super Bowls against Tom Brady and the Patriots. All right, Phil Hooker twists his knee and is off for the season. Man, it could happen. It could happen. Here's Johnny, 20-0 with number one seed bye. There you go. That would be an outstanding year. All right, Pierce, biggest weakness. I know this will be unpopular. Dan coaching with too much emotion and like a player and getting reckless. Yeah, and he does have to learn to control those emotions. While they do him a lot of justice at times, to me, the biggest moment I had some pause with his emotion was at Dallas when they went for the 2-point conversion. The initial 2-point conversion I thought was a great call. But after that, that's where I agree with you, Pierce, where I thought emotion took over. When it was, whatever it was, from the 7-yard line, and they were still going to go for it instead of just forcing the overtime or potentially forcing the overtime. That I thought was an all emotions-based decision. Now, the Cowboys bailed them out with the offside, and they got another chance from whatever it was, the 2 or 3 yard line. But I do think that emotions were taking over at that point. Larry, what do you got? Dan won't let them be complacent. No, I agree with that. He's hungry and wants the Lombardi. Yeah, I agree. I don't think this coaching staff, whether it's AG, MCDC, BJ, or whoever else, man, I think they're going to be all in on it to push these players forward. I also think when you look at the vast majority of the personalities on this particular Lions team, I just don't see them sitting around. I think all of them are pretty galvanized. They've got chips on their shoulders. They need to move forward, so I think they probably will, man. All right, Mike the Marine, Gunny, hit that thumbs up, please. 190 in the chat with only 72 likes. Give Dan and Kurt a big woo! There we go. And yes, I believe that if you guys can, if you got a free moment, it looks like, yeah, we've got a little over 340 in the chat, and I get some of them aren't watching on YouTube. But if you can, hit the thumbs up button. Let's see. Surfer, what do you got? 74. Joseph. Kurt, hello. Bo, thanks, Kurt. Ed, good morning, Coach and Duke crew. Love it when Kurt visits the chat. Yeah, he's super great at it, man. I love always having him on. Look forward to his show being up and going pretty soon. Shake and Bake, Moonscar Blade, Ranting Q, let's go! Exclamation point. This is our year! Exclamation point. One pride, go Lions, 100%. And again, Shake and Bake, thank you very much for that. The 5, thank you very much. Thomas, how is MCDC? I've heard nothing. He seems to be okay. It seems like, Thomas, that he missed the rookie camp because of one of his children graduating from college. It was that weekend, so he went to attend it. That seems to have been the case. All right, Pierce, back to J-Mo, 5th year, option or no? I'm guessing, especially if he has the year most of us are anticipating, they're going to be picking up that option on him. Hatman, thanks for another great show, Dan. Love having the man of steel on the show. Yeah, Kurt is a great dude, super great dude. Phil, our front office is getting toppled by other teams. How much does that affect the team? It does have an effect, in my opinion. It's unavoidable, Phil, If you guys don't know what he's talking about, go ahead and check out yesterday's breaking news video. Brandon Sano appears to have been signed by the Washington Commanders. The Commanders continue to try to take people from Detroit. That's probably a sign of respect that they understand they want their franchise to mimic the Lions. Brandon, I think I pointed out in the show yesterday, I've known him for years, at least known about him. I don't know him personally, but known about him just because he's had a real big impact on the athletic offices of USC. He spent some time with HBO or HBO Max, whatever it's called nowadays. So he's risen the ranks in professional business or sports or whatever you want to say incredibly fast. I mean, the kid's like, I don't even know, 31, 32, something now, and now he's getting even a higher front office position with the Commanders. So, I mean, good for him. You want to see people succeed and grow, but yes, it's coming at the cost of what's some of what we're doing here in Detroit. Shake and Bake, what do you got? Mike the Marine Gunny, Weatherstone going into Gary Sarge. I'm a retired Major Sarge. Okay, 7-5. There you go. Thomas, great on MCDC. Thank you. No worries, man. Anytime. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, close down the show for now. If there is some breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as quick as possible. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We're about 25 subs away from hitting 6,700. Also, if you got a free second, hit the thumbs up button. As you all know, it helps out a ton. A couple more here. Bo, all done and dusted. See you tomorrow. Thomas, get used to losing players, fellas. That's we're at that point now where we're going to lose starters on other teams, and that's a good thing. Yeah, we're talented enough in the front offices throughout the team, even the players, where they're going to take off. All right, guys, catch you all in the next Lions Talk Live. See you, everybody.